Yo, we are
Oh,
here, man. We here. I'm gonna pass this over to Big Shot real soon, but you already know what it is, man. Y'all pulled up on the scene. We gotta make sure that the ceiling's missing. 94 feet of life. Brought to you by Ball U Academy and Ham's Homemade Cookies. Ham will be here, but while he's out there, go get the damn cookies. Go get a brownie too. So, with all that being said, let me go ahead and get Big Shot on, man. Big Shot, talk to the people for me, please. Best point guard in the
hey,
world, by the way.
it's Friday, so we are back catching up on the association. I feel like we haven't talked about the NBA probably in about 3 or 4 weeks. We was definitely heavy on the college tournament, so we're gonna play a little catch up, man. It's like going to summer school. We catching up. We got Germ, we got MJ, we got Trav. As Jay said, Ham will be joining us in the building. We're definitely toward the end of the show gonna get in a light, but definitely deserved. Have to talk about the life and times of DMX, who passed as the time that we're recording this. We're gonna talk about his impact on us, music. So we're gonna get that in toward the end of the show. But fellas, man, I know Germ. I'm gonna actually have Germ kind of lead some of this because I think Germ, amongst all of us, has probably kept his finger on the NBA pulse a little bit closer than the rest of us over the last 3 4 weeks. So, Germ, you could maybe even if you got the standings in front of you, just kind of talk
Got
about maybe what's been going on for the last 3 4 weeks because I definitely know I am behind. So catch me up.
Well, pretty much. I mean, with everything that's going on right now in the NBA, obviously, we had kind of went to college basketball during right after the trade deadline because of March Madness, as we know. Um, I mean, since then, I mean, the only thing that's happened is we found out that water, was still wet, for whatever the purpose is. Certain teams are still at the top. I mean, of course, we got the Sixers and the Nets. They're still flying. Right now, currently, KD just came back Wednesday. So, that's a big thing for Brooklyn. James is out with a hamstring now. So he about to chill for a couple of weeks, get himself together now. Kyrie back being the savant that he is of basketball, as we see, out here traveling and having missteps, but he just so cold and ain't nobody calling nothing. The Bucks, the Bucks are starting to get a little bit more interesting to me. Um, the Drew Holiday pickup is looking like he's starting to gel with the team. Now they just have to figure out how they want to close games. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for the Bucks. Hornets, LaMelo Ball out for the season with a wrist injury. That happened a couple of weeks ago. Ouch. He was playing very, very well. Hawks, y'all, are now the 5th seed.
They are.
So in the Eastern Conference, currently, I'm going to give you the top 10 standings.
Right.
We have the Nets, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Hornets, the Hawks, the Heat, the Celtics, the Knicks are the 8th seed, B. With the Pacers, and then the Chicago Bulls are in the 10th spot at 22 and 28. And let me just tell y'all this. Vucevic is what y'all thought he was. A baller. He had 32 and 17 one Monday or Tuesday. I was looking at him different. So I want y'all to know this Eastern Conference is interesting. Go ahead, Big Shot.
So let's start right there, and certainly Trav and MJ jump on in. I guess the thing that jumps out to me, hearing that, because I'll be real, I think I've maybe checked the standings one time in the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the Hornets and the Hawks, even though yes, the East is suspect, we know, but the fact that the Hornets and the Hawks are 4 and 5 is tripping me out right
now. Well, you got to think with the Hawks, what happened was as soon as Lloyd Pierce was relieved from his duties, they went on a 7 to 8 game winning streak. And I could say for both conferences, between 4 and 10 was always a 1 to 2 game race. So if you go off and run off 7 games straight, you're going to be put in a very advantageous situation. And even though they have lost the last game, it appears that they are responding to what Nate McMillan is trying to instill in them as far as making sure that they are defending their guard and they're taking that side of the floor seriously. He's getting into Trae Young's head is to, yes, we know you're the star of this team, but if you don't get these other dudes involved, you're not going to win games. John Collins is playing more inspirational because he's now involved in the offense a little more. So all of the things that we saw on paper at the very beginning of this season are now starting to come to fruition now that there is a new voice in the office. So that's pretty much what's happened with Atlanta. And as far as Charlotte goes, they're still hanging around because of culture. The culture has already been set. Even though LaMelo Ball is hurt, it was never about them not having the talent to be effective. It was about them not playing together. And with LaMelo coming in and showing them, even though, I'm one of the top picks, I'm willingly coming off this bench to learn first. And when I get in the game, I'm trying my best to make the same dudes who probably thought I was competition look way better in person. So now that's infectious. So now the ball has an energy. The ball has a pulse. It's not just sticking anymore. Now everybody wants to make that pass. Everybody wants to, make that play to make somebody else look good. Everybody's buying into what basketball should be in Charlotte. And as long as you're playing the game the right way, you're going to get rewarded for it. And the Western Conference is a prime example because look at the top two teams, Utah and Phoenix. And I'll go ahead and switch it over to Trav. Let him talk about the East as we transition to the West.
Speaking of the West, like you said, Utah, Phoenix, those are your 1 and 2s, man. Who would have thought that Chris Paul would make that much of a difference? He is putting them guys in the play, and Devin Booker is out there cooking with the rest of them. 3, 4, and 5, somewhat as expected, but the Clippers are making a run. The Clippers are making a run right now. Ever since they was, what was that? They was down by 22 against the Nuggets. Yeah. And they came back and walked that down. And they've been walking stuff down ever since. They didn't won like they last, I think they didn't won like they last 2 or 3 games.
They won the last 3 games.
Yeah, Nuggets is the one the last 7. They won the last 3. Right now, I think the Nuggets right now is the hottest team in basketball.
Nuggets are 4th, Lakers are 5th. 6 through 10, you got the Blazers, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Spurs, and the Warriors. I'm are separated by, instead of the 7, that 8 through 10 spot is basically 2.5 to 3 games.
Yep. Okay. So as we come down, we are, as of Sunday, this Sunday coming up, we are 5 weeks out from the end of the regular season. So I think, to me, fellas, the 2 storylines, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but we can revisit this. To me, Jeremy talked about Harden being hurt. We know LeBron is currently with the ankle, AD. To me, this is where is health. And the things that we said about the Nets, I know I've said about the Nets, I think you all agree, was if the Nets are healthy at playoff time, they're the pretty significant favorite to win the East. If they're not healthy, and injuries are as much as part of the game as free throws, I think if they are missing any one of those big 3, a matchup with Philadelphia becomes a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a little bit tricky. Not that they can't beat Philadelphia, but it becomes tricky. On the Lakers standpoint, if AD isn't right in 5 weeks, and if the Lakers, I think if you serve me right, you said the Lakers were in 5th, but they look like they're not going to get any higher than 3rd. It's going to take some doing to get to 3rd. So if you're the Lakers, and you could end up with a Denver early in the playoffs.
Yikes.
In Denver early in the playoffs, if you don't have AD right, becomes a much more difficult proposition than what it would be if you had him. And if LeBron is certainly not full go in 5 weeks. So That to me, that's the overriding story the last 5 weeks. What is the health of the Lakers and what is the health of the Nets in the last 5 weeks?
Big shot, that 4-5 right there. You just a 4-5 matchup with Denver. And Denver being your home team. That man.
So go ahead, Trev.
Health, like you said, man, health is one of the main things, man. Like the old saying goes, man, your best ability is your availability.
Well, I mean, and looking at this too, just look at the teams that's on top of the Western Conference. For the top four, so to speak, Utah, Phoenix, LA, and Denver. All of those guys got at least one guy who can pass the hell out of the ball that's currently playing right now. Utah, their whole offense is surrounded by passers, but, Conley sets the tone there. Phoenix, we already know who sets the tone with Phoenix. Chris Paul sets the tone as far as sharing the ball and everybody playing a role. The Clippers, now that they brought Rondo in, I'm going to tell you, Rondo threw a pass that just made me shake my head. I'm just like, this dude here is just different. He's just able to find people that they don't even know that they're open, and he finds them. You got Jokic, who was the best passing big I've probably ever seen play the game of basketball. And, LeBron is gone, but he's a great passer in his own right. So I don't know.
Boogie as well to the Clippers.
What's that?
Don't forget Boogie is also on the Clippers.
Yeah, Boogie's on the Clippers as well. He's a solid passing big. But just the main thing is just playing the game the right way. Playing for your brothers. Share the ball, rebound, defend, and you got a chance to beat everybody. It's pretty much been the blueprint since the game has started. And what's going on and what's happening now, from what I'm noticing, is with this regular season and you got to cover all of that ground and you're trying to utilize your athleticism for a whole season, it's a problem. And now what they have the audacity to do is say the 9th and the 10th seed, you guys are welcome to the playoffs as well. If you could beat the 7th or 8th seed twice, come on in. And that changes the damn game, because Golden State, the team that you kind of wanted to avoid, if they get that 10th or that 9th spot, they able to play against a Memphis or a Dallas team twice, and Steph get that look in his eye.
Yeah,
it changes a lot. And like I said, Utah looks really good, but we have seen Utah last year lose to Jamal Murray.
Right.
In comparison to what Steph Curry could do, Jamal Murray, Steph Curry.
and we seen Phoenix come this close. This close was snatching that 8th seed last year.
Yeah, they did.
They came that close. They came a Portland loss. Portland had a loss, and Memphis had a loss. One game. If both of them had a loss, Phoenix was there. And Phoenix have taken that momentum and added a significant piece, and they've been running with it ever since.
Let me ask y'all about this.
Right.
I think there's always that one team where, man, if they could just get it together. If they could just get it together. I feel like, I'm not going to say it's them, but are we calling it a season for Boston at this point?
Yeah.
Is there any hope that this comes together in the last 5 weeks?
In the words of my favorite battle rapper, good night, Wolf. It's over with. It ain't even no point. Listen, the Fournier pickup, his first of all, he got on the wrong jersey number. The man is playing defensive end with number 94. I don't like that.
I mean, he's shouting out us, man. Salute to the shout out, man. We appreciate it. You got to score points if you're going to shout us out, though. You got to score some points. You can't be trash with that jersey number.
Yeah, you can't do that. But the thing is, his first game was kind of telling for the way Boston wants to use him. And Big Shot, I think you'll agree with me when I say this. If you 0 of 11 or 0 of 13 from the field and 10 of your shots are threes, why are we on the perimeter that much when we have this much talent on the perimeter, so you can't win a one-on-one matchup? Go ahead. I'm just asking.
No, it's a good question. No, I mean, but it goes all the way back full circle to the fact that who's calling these plays.
You know, MJ, can I ask you a question?
You can.
I want to ask everybody on everybody here a question right now. And when I ask this question, I know y'all will be fair.
Yeah.
Can we just all agree that beating the dead horse with the Brad Stevens thing now just becomes, hey, look, if they didn't make the move now, then they got to ride out with what they have, and we can't keep saying, okay, well, it's Brad here, when the players still have the ability to make some of these adjustments. Jason Tatum is too good of a basketball player for me to look at the ball.
Let me go first on this. I know exactly where you're going with it. It's kind of like, let's just say you at work, right?
I know where you're going. That's what I'm like.
If you're doing something at work, like let's just say, we know you don't wash no dishes. We know you don't do that. But this person is telling you, hey, wash these dishes this way. But you done found a new way to be like, man, if I can just wash it this way, it'll be a little bit faster. I can get back to doing more of my work chores. But your boss is telling you, do it this way. You're going to do it that way because the simple fact is like, man, I really can go and do other things, but I'm going to do it exactly how you tell me to. And it's going to be slower. It's not going to be as efficient as what I have planned. Then when that boss leaves and you get another boss and once you show that boss that, hey, this is a different way that I can wash these dishes at a faster pace. And that boss looks at it like, wow, why wasn't you doing that before? I was just doing because my boss was telling me before to do it this way. So I'm doing it this way to make it faster. So in order to get a message across, you do what the boss tells you to do in order to show everybody that this is not the way.
So haven't we been past that point then?
Well,
no, I'm showing them right now.
You have to understand this. You just really have to understand this. Even with Trav saying, let's say what the boss way is correct. Let's say the boss way is correct. And you are doing it that way. However, it's just not enough, because in the game that you're playing or the job that you're doing, there are other people who have a little bit more freedom to be who they are. And now their environment is just a little bit more fun. It's safe to say that when you worked at other radio stations, when somebody else was calling the shots and they wanted you to say things a certain way, as opposed to you being here and you get to say it how you want to say it with no holds barred, it's much more comfortable you doing it that way. I mean, that's for anyone. That's the American dream. Hence the reason why, even though Lloyd Pierce is a great coach, the team got tired of how they did it. And Nate McMillan is known for being a coach that, quote unquote, can't get you to the finals. So what everybody say, point A, point B. I think it's BS, because if you give somebody the right pieces that buy in, then you can make it pretty far. Neither here nor there. It's just the fact that they get a different voice now. They get a person that heard the assistant coach heard their gripes, because you think these players are not talking to the coaches. They're talking to the coaches. They just can't talk to the head coach. They hear their gripes. They hear what's going on. So when they become interim, they know exactly what the players want and they give them to them. With Boston, it's actually the opposite on how they play. I think they're trying to play a college-like system with pros. You want to be able to take the best, great available shot. Yet you got three guys, not one, not two, but three guys that could create a really good shot and make it most of the time. And you're not letting them do that. And ironically, Isaiah Thomas, shout out to him for being back in the league. The one guy that probably isn't as talented as the guys that you have now, you gave him all the freedom, and guess what? Y'all made it to the Eastern Conference Finals all the way to 7 games.
Yeah. I just think for Boston, Brad Stevens is not the coach for that personnel. And what has happened is he's kind of a victim of how good his players got. See, when Brad got Jalen and Jason early and young, his system worked. Hey, college system, run it exactly the way I want you to run it. Because all those guys were young, they just getting their feet wet in the league. But see, what happened was they grew up on him. And now it's like, hey, coach, I'm 25 points. So your system is cool, but now it's like a baby. You was eating soft food, now we eating table food. Brad Stevens is still feeding these boys baby food. And these dudes ready for table food. I just think he's a good, very good coach.
Incredible coach.
He's not a good coach for this set of players. They need another coach. So I think it's obviously it's too late in the season. Nothing gonna happen now. I would expect that if Boston the fact that Boston will be in the play-in side of the East will be a fireable offense.
I mean, if he was to go to
Absolutely
college, he'll probably win multiple national championships.
He's a good coach for college-based years.
For college team and a young NBA team.
Right.
Not this group. This is the wrong group for him.
Right. Because they are, like you said, they all grown up. That's why I said for college-based years. They still coming off that 1 year because most of these guys coming into the league now is 18, 19 turning 20 years old. They still have a college frame of mind still. They still hungry. They still want to get it. Like you said, these guys have grown up now. And with them growing, it's hard. It's hard to coach the guys like that, man. And Boston is just not it for him.
I guess so. I'm sorry. Just one more question for the group, because this is all the dialogue here. I think for this conversation is incredible because I think we all do agree that Brad is not the coach for this team.
Yeah,
I think the one thing that is interesting is where do they go from here? Do they bring in another college coach, or do they go to an NBA veteran guy? And then they say, "Hey, you come in and you take this from here."
I'm gonna tell you. I know exactly.
Everybody ready for this one? Go ahead.
Hey, no. This is why. Look, y'all look ready for this.
If it's me, if it is me, I'm Boston. I'm calling Bob Myers, and I'm saying, "What is the price for Steve Kerr?" Championship coach. Been there, done that, has worked with the 3-star system, 2-star system, whatever you want to call it before. This is the Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr move to the east side. If it's me.
If I'm Ron, I'm calling Bob Myers and saying how much for you and Kerr. Because Ainge ain't the one either.
It all connected. I need both of them. I need both.
Ainge ain't the one either because Ainge, we've seen you sit on asset after asset after asset in which you could have gotten the right pieces for Coach Brad that he needed to be able to be that, and you chose time and time again to hold those assets until they depreciated or trade those assets for an albatross move. So it's both of you.
Y'all have taken both of my answers because I swear to God, Ainge got to go. Ainge, you're as soon as y'all can help each other pack each other office space stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, you want this plaque of Coach of the Year? Oh, we'll put it in this box so it won't break. Oh, you want this for GM of the? Yes, I will help you pack that too. Make sure we wrap plastic around it so it won't break. They need to help each other lead.
And I empathize with Boston because I empathize with Bulls fans. And I saw the torture that Bulls fans went through the guard packs. They went through coach after coach after coach until after a while you had to look at the real common denominator, that front office. Now I'm looking at Boston. You can replace the coach if you want, but what does it matter if you have a GM that has assets that won't pull the trigger, or you're bringing in a person that's not going to help you get to the top?
Because Boston had
more than enough.
They had more than enough for James Harden. They had more than enough a couple years back for Anthony Davis.
More than enough for Kawhi Leonard.
More than enough.
I'm going to tell you where this all started off with. Before them three. No. Besides the Kyrie trade, it was Kevin Durant. It was Kevin Durant. They was the front runners that before the Hamptons came in. They was the front runners. Ever since then, down here. And that was what, 17?
Yeah. And that was 17? Just, and to me, that was just bad luck. That ain't their fault because Draymond pretty much sold them an offer that he couldn't refuse. And then for Curry to fly out there and personally out his mouth say, look, I just want to win. I don't care about none of that other extra. I mean, you can't really say no to that deal. And even though Kevin Durant wanted to, he just couldn't.
But he got to play with two of the best shooters to ever play basketball. And one of the 10 guys that we can argue and say is one of the better defenders.
Yeah. And it was a match made, and the style of play that they had, it was a match made in heaven.
As a GM, your job is to pull the trigger on that move or something like it. Because that's how you go from here to here. This is how Toronto. We have zero chance of signing Kawhi Leonard in 2019. Guess what though? He available. He available right now.
And Massey's the GOAT.
We'll deal DeRozan, Pirtle, them picks. We will take our shot at Kawhi. We'll see what happens. And they won it. So regardless of what happened after that, that trade was worth it. It's worth it. And to MJ's point, shout out to our man Ham joining us. Danny Ainge has sat on, I know Germ's a card player, Trav a card player. Danny Ainge has sat on books for about 3 years.
Sit on Trump with me. We'll be off the table.
He ain't been bidding right, man. He ain't been bidding right.
And here's just to really piss y'all off. Imagine if Danny Ainge did what Milwaukee is doing now 3 years ago.
I was flipping through the TV the other day. I was going by, I was stopped on A&E, and I seen Danny Ainge. He was on the episode of Hoarders.
Yeah.
So just
makes sense. That's ironic.
Right.
Yeah.
But
he's probably on Storage Wars too.
So as we get ready to wrap up this part of the show, I got 2 questions that I want to ask y'all. I got 2 more questions, and then we're going to go to the next part. I'm going to pass it back to Big Shot.
Okay.
Favorite buyout pickup?
All time?
It's easy. No, right now, this year. It's easy. LA, man.
Yeah, it's gotta be drunk.
Look, Brooklyn, I know Big Shot said that, barring injury and all of that, them getting LA, I ain't even saying barring injury no more. You can win with 2 of them in LA. Either 2. You can pick your 2. You tell me which 2 you want to play with LA. They still gonna win.
That's why they sitting comfortably right now. Like they injured, okay, Kevin Durant, you can sit down now. You come back. Now, James Harden, you can sit down right now. Kyrie, you can go on left tape for a minute.
Yeah. I never seen the NBA run a 3-on-3 tournament the way the Nets is running. I ain't never
Who is
seen it. They running a
And
real life 3-on-3 tournament.
And as I've been telling people in other groups on post and as well as in our group, they're putting up 120 a night and they not even full strength. Who finna outscore that 4 times over the course of that 2-week period? Especially if they all there. And like MJ said, when you got LaMarcus there with that, it's like you might not even have to be all there no more. Because you take him, you take Blake. It's like, yo, we ain't asking y'all to do but one thing, 2 things, maybe max. And the rest of it, we open it up the gates for y'all to just go hoop. And it's gonna be there to go hoop.
See, this is the scary thing with picking up LA. You're not asking LA to stretch the floor and be a 3-point shooter. You're not asking LA to give me 20 and 10 a night. You're not asking LA to be a third option. He's the 5th.
Right.
Do you see how easy that 22 points he scored last night was?
What? He just going to the basket.
And I still ain't even mentioned Blake, who has dunked more in 7 games than he has in 3 years.
Blake got his hop back.
Ironically, right? He drunk some of that secret stuff.
Nah, Blake in LA is it. Because nobody in the playoffs, nobody's backup bigs are better than them two.
It's a problem.
When they go to when they go to the bench, that's what they're going with. You don't have your backup bigs aren't better than them two.
And Harden plays with the second unit.
And Harden playing with the second unit. So,
and before we get out of this, I just wanted to troll the Laker fans one time. Y'all keep fucking around. Y'all better get healthy. Y'all keep fucking around. Y'all gonna be in the play-in tournament. I'm just saying. Because y'all went 5th like now, and you're only a couple games out, from being in that 7 hole to where, 7, 10, 8, 9, which I love that addition.
Yeah, you don't want to be the 95 Rockets. You got to win it out to 60. That's tough. That don't happen every year.
That's tough. No.
Is there what's your second question?
My last question is: have we changed our finals predictions?
No.
Who are the 2 teams that you picking in the finals? Have we changed our finals predictions? If you have, cool. If you haven't, we still going. I just want to put them again on record for receipt purposes.
So my final prediction was mine was Brooklyn versus the Lakers because I'm still
with the field.
Because I'm still with LeBron versus the field.
Right.
But I'm gonna hold it because I'm gonna still hold it because he's a cyborg. But if AD's not back and up and running, that pick is very shaky.
That pick ain't shaking. That pick changing for me. Straight up.
Hey, you want to know something real funny? You want to know something real funny? I'm sorry I had to get off the phone. One of my big men had some news for me. But what's funny about that is everything that we said about the Lakers last year, as far as them having depth in the front court to defend, we can say the same about Brooklyn right now.
Exactly.
But instead, you have Harden, Kyrie, and KD with that. How in the hell am I supposed to pick anybody else? How?
They can take Joe. Let's say Joe. This is something that Brooklyn struggled with the year before. When Joe wasn't making jumpers, he was almost unplayable. So if Joe not making jumpers for you, you can take Joe off the floor. You can put Blake and LA on the court with the big 3, and they can run pick and roll with KD and Kyrie in corners, LA at the mid post, and Blake crashing from the corner or from a wing.
And Jeff Green got the nerve to even be balling. Come on, y'all. Come on.
They have arguably. You talk about Kyrie. Everybody gets their prediction. You talk about Kyrie, Harden, and KD. You have 3 of what?
5
top 15 one-on-one players that's ever played in the league.
3 or 5. 3 or 5.
No, ever. You talking about ever? We going
15
all
ever?
Time, no time.
They got
all time.
They have 3 of the top 15 greatest one-on-one players we've ever seen.
That don't mind passing.
No.
They ain't gunners.
Hey, shouts out to my guys at the Inscriber magazine. One of y'all, I'm gonna make sure y'all watch this. You keep on saying, well, they have to have the ball because they want their stats. The last thing I noticed is none of these folks is taking and hawking 25 up in the night. They scoring on 20 shots, 40 points.
That too, Jeremy. Let's also remember this. 2 of them had already won before, so they know how to do this. And the other dude ain't never missed a season where he ain't been to the playoffs.
Never, ever.
And before
That's
that,
not the MJ
real quick, and then I'm gonna go to Trav. I'm gonna try to get yours in. The only reason with this y'all lucky for you haters. Y'all lucky James Harden got this hamstring. So here is y'all out on James Harden in the MVP because he was about to win it before this hamstring. The hamstring is gonna be the out on for the voters.
Let me just go ahead and paint the. Hey, let me just go ahead and paint the narrative right now.
I'm gonna tell you like this, man. James Harden was on his way to winning the MVP. It was a clean walk. He was doing triple doubles, just hooping, just within the game. I still got the Knicks, and I'm one of the ones that went against the Lakers going against the field because the Clippers are finding stride.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers are finding stride. I have the Clippers and the Knicks going at it. I don't know who may win. I know who's supposed to win, which is the Nets. But it's another side boy number 2 that know how to win.
Clippers giving me, and I'm gonna get to MJ. Clippers are giving me 2019 Raptor vibes. Like you get hot at the right time, and they got Kawhi. They got Kawhi, Serge, but you got Rondo. We know this is Rondo's time of the year. Ignore everything that happened before April. This is Rondo's time of the year. Twin playing well. Batum has played well. Like they have a lot of things that if they're hot, if they continue this, hottest team going into the playoffs could be them. So my Lakers pick is shaky, but if I have to change it, that's probably who I'm going with. It's probably the Clippers. MJ.
I mean, I'm gonna say this about the Clippers. What I am rooting for, I'm rooting for Paul George to pull a Kyle Lowry, in which I'm tired of hearing the playoff peak jokes. It looks like he's locked in and focused on hooping, even though he had a bad toe. He's still like looking extremely scary and efficient. I expect him to have a really good playoffs this year, but I don't expect him to win a title. I expect them to have a really good playoffs. I'm looking at Denver now. Aaron Gordon looked like a kid in a fucking candy store. He ain't never scored this easy in his life. And Jokic is happy as hell now because he like, I don't got to guard these quick athletic bigs anymore. I let him guard me. So now all I got to worry about doing is just making passes, making plays, and just being big in front of the rim. That's all I got to worry about.
I was going to ask y'all about that too, because I've been seeing a lot of cats saying, yo, Denver my new one. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, I ain't mad at that. It's fairly reasonable. But just can they turn that corner? You know, that's the only question. It's like,
this is such a fun conversation.
I'm gonna tell you, and like I said, it's so funny how we just keep forgetting about Utah. It's like Utah been the best team in the league, second best team in the league since we started.
You know what's interesting about those two squads, and I'll go to Utah. Clearly, the record, Utah, you know, Ron kind of gave y'all a slight tidbit.
He did. Brush your shoulder,
back in October.
You did.
The thing with Utah, it's definitely not a Paul George situation where you got to prove anything, but it's gonna be for Donovan Mitchell. You hate the man of hand. We all hate hero world, but I think what people are waiting on, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is Donovan Mitchell now ready to be more. We'll call it Mormon Dwayne Wade.
I like that.
Is Donovan Mitchell ready to be the best player on a title contender?
And
as much as Shaq has been, Shaq is a big hater. But the question is still kind of legitimate.
Yeah,
it's kind of a legitimate question. And I think that's why, MJ, to your point, why people haven't really, I think, given Utah, it's kind of like, again, we talk about Toronto vibes. It's a little bit like that. Is he ready?
And I got another question to follow that.
Because you talk about being best player on a title contender. You're talking about the Kawhis, the LeBrons, the Currys, Durant. That's a different level of player you're talking about. So,
and with that, is Jordan Clarkson ready to be Jason Terry with tats?
I like the with tats.
It looks good right now.
Yeah.
I told last year, I told y'all, like, if Jordan Clarkson averaged 20, they winning this. He averaged 20 when they was 3-1. He went away. He disappeared. Because if you're going to be what Donovan Mitchell is, you need at least one more dude that's going to go get you a bucket when you get tired. You need one more dude that's going to go get you a bucket when you get on the bench, because their offense is built around having at least one guy who can go one-on-one and get it if y'all want to stay at home on my shooters.
Yeah. Another guy on that team, he's had a great career, steady, solid.
Talk to him.
Mike Conley, who had a terrible series last year in that 3-1 that they gave up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a great year last year. Has played better this year. But for Mike, can you deal with Chris Paul 4 out of 7 if we need you to?
He's done it before, but it was a different time and era.
It was younger. He was younger.
So, MJ, you're right. I think Utah is like the team. It looks really good, but it's like
you have every right to question it.
Every
right. You just gotta see it. It's okay. You just gotta see it. I mean,
I totally understand, because if those and that's that word, if them pieces gotta come together at the right time.
No,
we just gotta see it. That's all. If you show it to us, great.
I'm just gonna say this as we wrap this part up. I think the only thing that makes me, especially after the buyouts, the only thing more impressive to me with the Clippers is they added another piece with size by adding Boogie. I don't care what anybody say. I stand firm on this. Boogie Cousins can really fucking hoop.
Oh, yeah.
You put him in this with this team where all you asking him to do is screen, roll to the basket, knock down open jumpers. He's going to be on the floor with Rondo, who is one of the 5 people who can tell any one of these folks, hey, go get your big ass on that block.
And they going.
And they going.
Yeah, they going.
Look, that in itself helps take away some of the pressure off of PG in itself, because now PG can now become a more attacking and slashing wing. And then who else does that help if PG slashing?
That cyborg.
Yeah. Mr. 3 to 10 feet, who do it at the highest clip at anybody from 3 to 10 feet right now. I'm just going to be honest. I like what I'm seeing from that team. They got some of the best snipers in the game. And ironically, shouts out to Worldwide Les. The 2 best offensive teams are the Clippers and the Nets. And they get their points the same way. And when it's bombs over Baghdad, I ain't seen nobody come back and beat them.
Yeah.
You can't account for that balanced breakfast.
No, it's too much. It's too much.
That's an 8-course meal, fam. That ain't no breakfast. That's an 8-course meal.
Hey,
Well, it depends on who breakfast we talking about here. It could be an Andre the Giant style breakfast for all we know.
And I think, Germ, to your point, I think that's the hesitation on Utah.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
loaded.
that
You know what?
It's that if the Clippers are here all healthy, everyone's there. Donovan, that is a big responsibility for Donovan, for Conley, and for, even though, shout out Jordan Clarkson, that 20 is a little hard to get. In game 6, we down 3-2.
Right. Game four on the road,
Game 4 on the road.
Down
it's
2-1.
crazy. It's crazy because the thing is the Clippers match up so well with Utah just on paper. They can literally say, hey, Pat Bev, go get Jordan Clarkson.
I'm getting 1994 vibes from this season, at least on the Western Conference.
You think an 8 finna catch the 1 slipping like that?
I'm just getting vibes in which it's like everybody has their own style. Everybody has the pieces that they need with the style that they play. Now it's just a matter of who is going to go get it.
And that's 1994, 5, 6. Really, in terms of the style of what you talk about, absolutely.
Yeah,
especially 94 though.
And this is what excites me about this season's of basketball, which I can't understand why anybody will say is boring or whatever. It's like nobody is trying to copy another team. Yeah, the sorry teams or the teams that's don't have a blockbuster guy, they shoot a lot of threes because they got to balance out the fact that they don't have a blockbuster guy. But the teams that have a blockbuster guy, they're getting that dude the ball in spots and trusting him to win games for them.
That's Utah.
And it's different ways they're doing it. You got Chicago now that they got Vucevic. They're running a lot more Denver-like sets with Vucevic and letting him make the plays and make the decisions while LaVine can just be a mercenary. The same thing was happening with Philadelphia. So
these skilled bigs, man. Y'all better respect these bigs, man. Because these bigs out here hooping. They out here hooping.
They don't just live on the block no more.
They out here hooping.
They ain't on the spot where they eating. They eating that all over.
Big V had 32-17 with 5 with a block and some steals and was filthy on that. Man, what?
Hungry man style.
Hey, folks, hey, sign me. Hey, where my pen at?
Go ahead, Trey.
You talking about these bigs, and y'all know I'm a Jokic fan. Me personally, I think he's the best complete big in the league right now. But one person we ain't talked about. And it seems like he's taking our advice of going into a salad bar too, touching the line on each suicide. If he's on, the Nets will have their biggest problem yet.
Yeah,
because there's nobody.
Philly is the biggest problem for the Nets, simply because, as you said, Trav, there just isn't an answer for Joel. There just isn't. Just
he got that stuff in his game,
in my opinion.
And Ben locking up one of them 3, maybe not.
He got one of them. Joel got one of them type games like Dream, where he really could get in that zone and beat you by himself. But just the cats that he got around him doing what they do, and he go off like he go off, he got that in him. But then, like Trav said, it depends on how that conditioning flowing. You know what I'm saying? If he ain't using no Caesar dressing, and all that other shit, he just going straight roughage. You know what I'm saying? He ain't getting no double stacks. He ain't ordering from Ham's Homemade. He not on that level, nothing like that. He just staying up in Planet Fitness in the facility, and he getting it in. Yeah, Joel, buy you a Nintendo and get you a power pad. Since you like the game, you did 2 for 1. You know what I'm saying? Stay in shape. You're gaming. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Throwback.
That man said, the power pad was a solid workout too, by the way.
I used to dunk that.
Powerville is a solid workout. Look, but y'all make sure y'all follow us. You know, we are back on the NBA. You know, college rightfully had our attention for a couple weeks, but we getting back to the NBA. So just make sure you following us, of course. 94 Feet of Life is the Facebook group. Scene, capital SCEN Facebook fan page. The Scene Twitter, SCEN_THE, the.scene on Instagram, and the 94 Feet of Life Twitter, 94 Feet of Life 1. So before we get out of here, man, you know, sad news, but we definitely gonna, you know, give him his flowers for sure, man, because all of us heavily influenced by hip hop. The passing of DMX, as the day that we're taping this. I'll be real. DMX was like, I'm 40. I'll be 44 next week. When I think DMX, I think of my college years. DMX was 95 to 99. When they say college, the best 4 years of your life, just what it was. And it was interesting, fellas. We're just going to kind of, everybody keep their mic on. We're just going to kind of pass it around. He was so different than everybody else in the game at the time. You know, that was the middle of shiny suits. You know what I'm saying? This was Puffy,
Right.
Bad Boy. This was the West Coast, you know, Death Row. Everybody was flossy, da-da-da-da. And then there was him, this really aggressive, dark dude who was just so much different than everybody else, man. And to me, I think that's what, you know, they always talk about one of a kind. He is one of a kind. There was nothing like him, especially in his prime. There was nothing in the game like him at all.
For me, it was like you said, around that 95 through 99 range. I look at that from that point from where we lost Pac and Big, and that healing period that hip hop had in 97 going over, and then you saw the emergence of Hove and X. In 98, that's when X he debuted in 98. The first one came out in May, platinum. Second one come out in December, platinum. Man went platinum of 2 albums in the same calendar. Both of them number one. Year. Then went 6 mil and number one again off the third one. The first 5 albums number one. The period. I want to go back, and I'm probably gonna find that backstage documentary that they did on the Hard Knock Life tour.
Yeah.
That's the joint, you know what I'm saying? You actually got to see X and just his element and him talking and doing his thing. But like you said, Big Shot, one of a kind. You know what I'm saying? The imprint that he laid, man, it's just like, yo. And I was talking about this when we was in the inbox. It's like, yo, not to knock generations of rappers and whatnot, but this generation is like more of a glorification of that trauma and drug abuse and things of that nature. X wasn't glorifying that, but you felt that in his music. You know what I'm saying? That was the difference. It's like you knew he was fighting it. You knew he was battling. He going against that. He's not glorifying it. But That's why I think it made so many people be able to relate to him in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because he was real. He just came off like that. You know what I'm saying? So lost the big one, man. That's a big hit for the culture. So better go get ran, all that good stuff this weekend.
You know how do you know how like we see these memes talking about women want a dude who act like Future and Russell Wilson at the same time? That was DMX. He was both. You never knew what you was gonna get out of him. I mean, he was gritty, you know what I mean? He was gutter with it, but you know, you'll hear his prayers and you'll just know that this man was a believer. You know, he had an influence and an impact on people of all colors, all races, all shapes, all sizes. He loved and did everything extremely to the max. Everything was extreme. Even when he acted, it was to the max. Everything about him was to the max. I'm gonna say something real ignorant, but I'm gonna wait for everybody to talk because I don't want y'all to shut this down. So I'm gonna let y'all go after I say my ignorant thing.
Okay.
Man, I know to this day, like again, college, but to this day, I have it on my phone. And he has one song, and it's called What's My Name? That song will get you going. If you need to get hyped up for a gym workout, that's it. You walking into
Yeah.
the gym, that may can be your theme song. That song right there, it's not just inspirational. It's just it's telling the people who you are. If you don't know who I am, what's my name? I'm gonna tell you who I am. That's what I get. That's what I get out of it, man. X just has some during that time. X has some of the best music, man. And if you ain't like DMX, man, there's something wrong with you, man. Rest in heaven, DMX, man. Dog man X.
So for me, first of all, man, I'm really, really big on classic albums, classic different things like that. I'm a historian of hip hop just in general, being a guy who's been at a radio station before, some years ago. The one thing that I'm gonna say about DMX that really separated him and catapulted him was he could do everything that your rock hymns and everything could do with the bars, but then he had his own unique trademarks to go along with it, which the barking and everything like that was his trademark. So we talking about a dude who could rap, could lyrically put you in a place where you like, yo, I'm feeling every word this man is saying, but then not only be able to do those things, but also be able to be catchy, be very, very, very innovative with the way he put out his messages. So what people have to understand, Ham, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't realize that was an 18-month stretch, which that in itself
Mm-hmm.
is that's Tupac S. That's All Eyes
Yeah,
on Me, Don
that's all
Illuminati,
I exactly.
Me
And which
Against the
Pac
World
did it in a
cat.
shorter. And which Pac really what Pac did it shorter because All Eyes on Me was a double.
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying? And
so
that, when you look at it in
so
that aspect, but yeah.
absolutely. Historically, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's a being able to compile so much great music into such a short time span like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's top 10, top 7 in history type of influence. And I could never say anything bad about X ever. Like he's one of those guys that if you hear him, it don't matter where you at, you hear him. Oh, that's
Yeah.
what y'all really want. Like, what do y'all really want? So my
And
last thought, real quick before I pass it, this is something too I want everybody to understand as being a historian of just the music scene. How X got hooked, if I'm not mistaken, from some things that I've heard, is because the music industry has been hooking people for years in that way. And this goes to George Clinton and the Atomic Dog song. He doesn't have rights to that song because they got him intoxicated, whatever we want to call it, for the the properness of the program here, and they took the rights to that song. X had a not a similar situation, but a situation where they used to pay these artists in actual drugs. That's how they used to pay these guys in the game. So I want y'all to understand this is an even bigger message to now know that this man was fighting that demon, but it could have been something as simple as he thought it was some marijuana and they laced him just
mm-hmm.
on the
That's what it
strength
was.
of to get him. And I want y'all to understand like how messed up that is that the culture even started that way. This is how the culture started. So imagine to lose him today and then the culture think that it be one way or another when it actually shows an even bigger damper. It has a bigger damper effect on the back end of the culture in the first place. And that's what I took from all of this today, which is why I'm a little
That's
numb and why I haven't really said much about it.
that's Germ, to your point. You talk about somebody, I'm gonna get to MJ's point, who lived this incredible, incredible life, made this incredible, incredible music, and essentially was fighting a drug addiction for 30 some years. You know, he the first time that man tried weed, it's laced with the most addictive drug on the planet.
By a person he trusts.
By a person he trusted at the age of 14. So he's been fighting a drug problem for 36 years.
Right.
And still managed to have this incredible life, incredible music. And Ham talked about, he never glorified it was cool to be high because it was a struggle for him this entire time. He was dealt a bad hand early in life. Like so many kids and so many people we know, you're dealt a bad hand early in life. And the fact that he was able to carve out this life and his career, his music and everything, despite that.
He was also he was one hell of an actor too. You know what I'm saying? He got it done on screen too.
Yeah, man.
That
That's
talent,
my ignorant
man.
statement, man. What he did to Keisha on Belly inspired me. Like that turned me into the guy that I'm being honest. Like, you know,
I'm
this was during my
100%
learning stage.
in it.
This was don't act like as a man. Pause. Don't act like as a man when y'all saw that clip and she went straight to sleep, didn't say shit else to him. Don't act like y'all didn't say, "Oh, really?" So is that how it worked? Don't act like that for real, because y'all was young too.
Hey,
don't do that to me right now.
Speaking of that movie, the coldest opening scene in the history of movie is Belly.
Yeah, bar none.
Even with the acapella, how do you want it?
With his eyes glowing.
With the context, right? The whole deal, the whole scheme,
Big shot,
everything.
Big shot. I don't look for the sake of today. I can't argue because I can't think of nothing better. Now you got me thinking. Now you got me thinking.
Any movie
from
you've
production,
seen,
from music, from scene. That's perfect.
Think of any movie you've ever seen. Tell me an opening scene that was colder than that.
Man,
the credits were still rolling.
That might be like an inbox conversation we have later.
No. That's definitely a DC or inbox conversation. That's a lot.
That's opening 2-3 minutes, man.
I mean, once again, and y'all tell me with a straight face that what he did to Keisha did not influence y'all in some way. Tell me,
bro. A lot of what was done in that movie influenced me in some kind of way.
I almost became Muslim because of that movie.
I'm gonna be honest with you too. You know, another thing. That ending, I want people to really understand that ending scene, man. That ending scene was still one of the most powerful scenes.
Very.
I think a lot of folks do not understand.
Went clean over their head.
Because just he couldn't do nothing. He couldn't do nothing in that situation after it's explained the way that, man, look, Belly has some gems. And of course, we still got, is that the illest from the man? What?
Is that the illest
young
from Nebraska? You body fool or what?
And the fact that I played 2 years in Nebraska and I came home, that was the first thing my people told me, and I couldn't do nothing but just shake my head.
Belly, hey,
cultural icon as a movie.
Hey man, if y'all, I don't know if whatever your streaming service is, if you still got the DVD in your crib somewhere, and you ain't got nothing to do, throw on Belly tonight. Just
I don't know no fucking Kiana, man.
Hey,
she's lying.
Hey,
she's lying.
That shirt right there, Ham. I need parts of that shirt right there.
Let me see the shirt again. Now talk to why you pull the shirt up.
It was just right here in the closet, so it was like, boom! I got my gear right here. I didn't even think to put it on, probably because it wasn't X, but. You know what I'm saying? In that same everything.
Also, too, here's how dope that movie is. The hardest person in the movie wasn't even DMX. No. It was the dude that he got the connect from. That man said I killed for nothing. That man said I killed for nothing.
And shout out to Ox, because Ox was a Raptors fan, wasn't he?
Ox was a Raptors fan, which was funny, which was ironic. But man, shout out DMX, man. You know, definitely big loss to the game. But
before we close out, everybody got to give me one bar, just one bar of DMX to leave this. Just give me one. I will start it.
One DMX bar.
If I
already get mad.
If I let the words of another nigga bother me, I might as well let that sperm of that other nigga father me. I live by that shit right now to this day.
So MJ, why you take that one? That's more
That's
like a
the one.
John Long right there.
That's the one. That was it. I heard that. I cut the fucking CD off. I cut off and walked out.
That's not a, that would have been. What? Here's the sad part. That's the one that came to mind for me.
Be in agreement. It's okay.
Let me, because I want this show to continue to get run. I'm not gonna say the bar. I will just tell you what they really want made women problems seem real fun.
Bingo. Bingo. You took the word
It made
right out
women
of my
problems
mouth.
seem like a whole bunch of fun.
I'm gonna go with the joint from Damien. Pass the weed. Go ahead, smoke it. Go ahead, drink it. Go ahead, fuck shorty. You know I can keep a secret. With the alter ego, you know what I'm saying? He playing to both sides, which historically, even on that, there's only been a few dope ass rappers to play two different roles on the song. I know Big did it with Give Me the Loot, and you got that joint with X, and somebody else did it. I have to think about it.
Twice. He did it on Blood In, Blood Out too, and ate it even
He sure
more.
did. He sure
Cassidy
did.
did it too on Cassidy did it too on that.
Cassidy did it.
He
Right.
did it with Cassidy the Hustler versus Cassidy Problem. That one was hard too, but I understand what you're saying.
And then MJ, you talk about ignorant. I go a little ignorant. What they really want, that is the finest collection of women that has ever been in a video to this day. Lord,
I don't know, man. We still got to talk about the uncut version of BET.
Hey, I saw a meme on Twitter that was like, all them chicks that DMX named in that video, if you name that, your ass better be at the hospital praying for them.
Uber facts.
And on that note, Ham has killed it. Remember, 94 Feet of Life is the Facebook group. Scene, we everywhere, man. Shout out DMX. We'll be back next week.
Yes, sir.
Ron, Germ, MJ, Ham, Trav, 94 Feet of Life, man. Signing out.